Hi, Vera. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How is your life? How are you doing? How are you feeling? I feel like you like everything's a whirlwind right now, right? For you, I feel like, right? From what the internet looks like.
Yeah, it's pretty like it's definitely like the weirdest era of being me ever, but I'm having a pretty good time, you know, all things considered. I mean, like it's been really cool just seeing like especially like the critical response to the movie has just been like just universal praise, which is like kind of mind-blowing. So
Richard Brody, like
that's been
reviewing
cool.
it, like that's the coolest. Like, I don't know, like that. I saw
Yeah.
that, and I've been following this movie for so long, and I just like I know I have not attached at all, but it's like so cool to just like get that pride as a queer person. I feel when like an unabashedly queer fucking movie gets so much love. It's like people get it, and I can't even fucking imagine what that feels like for you.
Oh no, it's crazy, but honestly, like I gotta say thank you because it is like people like you who like really helped me have a little bit of like light at the end of the tunnel, like when I didn't really know like what was gonna happen to it. Like there, you know, thank you for like get helping me continue to get the word out there when I was in such a limbo, both after TIFF and on Twitter and stuff. Cause like I mean, that's the real catharsis with this. Cause like I mean, like really the honest answer is like I'm fucking exhausted. I'm definitely tired of doing press. Like, but
I was
like
gonna say,
I'm
like,
all
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try to talk about things you probably haven't talked about 6,500 times with everybody.
no, it's that's fine. I mean, it's honestly it's I was saying yesterday during an interview that it's kind of nice because it does give me a chance to sort of like emotionally process what's happening just because like a lot of these like interviews do feel like therapy just because of how personal the movie is too and just how like on fucking display my life has been like for the last year while trying to get the movie out. Like it's super trippy, but it's fun. I have to do transcendental meditation twice a day to stay sane, but it's I probably should be doing that anyway.
I get that. Well, and I was gonna ask because I made a movie not nearly as personal as yours, but a personal one, and like I've had to do so much therapy around trying to like put my shit into a movie. I can't even imagine what that's like for you to be on display like this and have so much of your personal life out there and like constantly thinking about your own life, your own traumas, your own experiences. Like, I mean, and I'm trying, I guess the question is like, how is that going? And like, what is that like? I don't even know how to ask the question because I know how hard that is. Like, you don't think about it. I'm curious if you had even thought about that while making the movie because I didn't when I made mine about like, this will be fine. There won't be any like mental health repercussions, right? Like, I'll be good. And then you're like, oh, wait, just kidding. Like, what has that
Yeah.
experience been like for you as a
Well,
creator?
it's like I think it's funny because like the movie was like I made the movie to process my trauma. Like I really
Yeah.
did. And like I did it in this way that was very you know, I don't know that The People's Joker is the most personal film ever made, but I mean it's up there maybe just with how like autobiographical it is and also just like
Yeah.
how much the experience of like releasing it has kind of reflected the story in the movie itself and like
Yeah.
the entire like third act of the movie feels like TIFF felt like. So it's kind of like very I don't know, like I spent most of last year having a mental health crisis if I'm being honest. Like I really was like
I mean,
kind of in this
like,
mode.
yeah.
I don't know how you couldn't really like just with because it's also like I had the experience of making something very personal that was instantly received very well. Like TIFF, like our TIFF premiere was like the dream version of a movie premiere. Like we were in the oldest theater in North America. It was like 600 people. I like literally signed a girl's boobs immediately after the show. Like I was immediately like, "Oh, okay." Like I'm a fucking rock star. And then the next day I woke up to like every article about the movie just slapped rights issue, rights issue, rights issue across it. So like, and then like immediately getting described as like a banned filmmaker, immediately getting described as having my movie like pulled for legal reasons, when really it was like I pulled the movie because the movie went viral. The movie wasn't done. It went viral. A lot more people knew about it suddenly. It went from being this just like kind of personal thing that I made with my friends to being like a part of like indie cinema lore, and like feeling the weight of that. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this now. Like I was supposed to just like, it was like finishing it. It was just all about getting to that TIFF screening. And then like, I have the best screening ever. And then it's like, well, now what? Like, I don't even know. So like, I think like kind of being in that limbo period was really scary, and really like, the part of it I think that was even more alienating than like this, which is like, this is fun because it's like people love the movie and I get to like talk about it and like pick it apart and like hear what jokes people noticed and stuff. But like the real scary thing last year was just getting a lot of bad advice from like, you know, agents and stuff like that, who are like telling me, yeah, your face says it all. Like literally would
Like,
told, get told every step of the way by like people working for me, like the move is to not screen this. The move is to like just treat it like a big business card. Like, let's get you on some general meetings. Let's get you some scripts, and like let's like take you out. And it'd be like, like I want to make a lot of other movies. Like I want to direct other people's scripts too. But I was so in this mindset of like, I made this thing that was like expensive art therapy for me. And then immediately got it kind of like ripped away from me just because the second biggest media conglomerate on the planet, like, I don't know what they were thinking when they like emailed us and said they didn't want us to do it. So like, um, yeah, it's been like a wild ride, but like I think the thing that was cool about it was like the movie did heal me. Like it really actually kind of did. Like it was always about like healing my relationship to my gender in a way, but like and my parents and where I come from and stuff. But like it also really was about me healing my relationship to my art and how I make it, and making it in a way that's not burning me out, which I did so many times making this movie, making it in a way that is not like exploiting me or other people, which I think we did like a phenomenal job in making it. Like it really had this like collectivist community DIY feel the entire time. But it was also about healing my relationship to like my own knowing of like when a project is done, like when it's the right move to like be screening something like this. Like it was just so clear, like when we took it back out to festivals last year and started doing like secret screenings with it and stuff, like seeing the response, it's like it needs to come out in as close to a traditional distribution model as possible. And like I think that can come. I just need to wait and strategize, and not give up hope, and really lean on the filmmaking community. Like the queer cinema community definitely embraced us a lot in that limbo period, but really it was like the genre filmmaking community and like the queer genre making community, which is like even smaller
I was
than
gonna
the
say
queer
it's like
like
a
film
nesting
community.
doll. It's like getting smaller and smaller and smaller,
Exactly.
but it's so small and we all
But
love each
the
other and we want to like build each other up. And that's like, and I think I was so glad to see how even like not queer horror filmmakers like Joe Lynch were like gravitating towards it and lifting it up, which is like why I love horror so much, because this isn't necessarily a horror movie, but what the fuck even is a horror movie? Like,
yeah,
so like it's yeah, I don't know
it's
what I'm trying to
funny.
say.
It's funny because like no, I was that's basically what I was gonna say is like it really I was never anticipating being embraced by like anybody, like I mean, I don't know if people can tell when they watch my movie, but like self-hate is something I've dealt with. And like it like we immediately like Barbara Crampton sent me like a really sweet message on Twitter like the day after TIFF that just said like I've heard great things about your movie, and it's like Barbara Crampton's like somebody like I've been thinking about since I was 10. Like I can't believe that. And like it was the first kind of the first light at the end of the tunnel was just like how much other filmmakers were just so excited and like believing in me. And it was like it was people like Joe and Barbara and the Fantastic Fest community and the Cucaloris community. Like film festivals and film programmers really just showed up. And it's funny because like I think back to just every film festival I went to, every like time I'd go out for drinks with somebody after like screening the movie, and I always was probably meeting them on this level as like very depressed woman, like very like, yeah, I mean it's cool, people love it, but like what the fuck? I'm in like in $100,000 worth of debt. Like what do I do next? But like everybody would just always build me up. Like everybody would just always be like, no, like it's gonna be fine. Like you made this beautiful piece of art, and like um just don't give up. And yeah, it's just it's so cool because I don't know, like I was so jaded by making stuff. Like I've worked on so many cool things like when I was working
Yeah.
in TV, but really was feeling jaded about like getting my own story out there. And now I'm just like I'm just totally drunk on indie cinema. I'm like indie cinema is completely alive, and like you know, there's a lot of people that make movies like mine that are like honest and processing a lot of stuff that don't get the kind of visibility I do. And like it's just set such a good example for me on like how I can hopefully like in the next chapters of my career, like I don't want to pull the ladder up from behind me because it is so clearly like the way film is going to survive like whatever the next like era of filmmaking looks like is stuff like that. Just all of us taking care of each other
Yes.
and propping each other up. It's so cool, and it's been such a love fest, which has also just like been a very cathartic part of the process too. Because I think when people first heard about the movie, and even now, I think when people still first hear about the movie, a lot of times they're like, "Oh, it's like probably just like a weird, like edge lord, shitty like Twitter comedy thing." And it isn't. I mean, there's definitely a lot of that in there, and I am a recovering edge lord. There is a character named Suicide in the movie, but
Yeah.
it
No,
also,
I love
you know,
I felt the edgelord vibes, but I love that because it's like, you know what? We're all recovering edgelords when we all grew up. Like we grew up in the age of like rotten.com and growing up online and not knowing what to do with our shit. Of course we're gonna have like be a little bit edgelords. We're all recovering. We're trying.
totally. No, and I mean that's like what's so like to me what was so fun about the movie was like really like leaning back on the to that sensibility of like
Yeah.
how do you make stuff that is edgy and like intense and gross or hypersexual or like evil, just downright like a bad haunted house feeling sometimes when you're watching it. 'Cause, like the movie isn't a horror movie, but like I have noticed like when we play it like earlier in the day, like if we watch it at like 7:30 with an audience, like before people have had dinner or like enough joints, like the first 20 minutes doesn't play like a comedy or like a superhero movie. Like it really, it like kind of like watching young Joker sort of go through this like Smilex gay conversion therapy just like sucks the air out of the room in like the best way. And yeah, it's fun to like really just like lean back into these kinds of aesthetics and these like ways of making
Oh
stuff
yeah.
that like I don't know, we're all told like queer people are too sensitive and or whatever. It's like the queer people I know that are making art are making the most fucked up shit I've ever seen, myself included.
I was gonna say, like, I sold this to my friend who she is like recently in her transition, and I was like, they make a joke about trans women being hackers, and like that joke about like this is all incels and trans women. At least one person is gonna hack. And I told her, I was like, this is why I'm taking you to see this movie, and she goes, I'm in. So like, it's just it's incredible. But so the
Thank
first
you.
20 minutes, I love particularly like the room design you have for you with the John Wayne Gacy like clown painting in the background and just like the way that again, it doesn't feel like a typical comedy, but I love the comedy you inject into it. And like this, and especially with like production design. And I wanted to hear like tech on the technical perspective though, like I know a lot of this is animation, but like, how did you kind of come to some of these aesthetic decisions? I mean, obviously clowns and everything, but John Wayne Gacy, the wallpaper, everything. Like, what was that like making those aesthetic decisions for the film?
It really was like I don't know how familiar you are or the audience would be with like kit bashing. Like it's basically like the idea of like taking a photo and then like essentially like rotoscoping over it in like Photoshop and like rebuilding the structure of that photo using different textures and elements and stuff. I've never said this in an interview, and I'm realizing that now, but I'm gonna finish what I'm saying. I'll give this to you. Yeah, so we like the aesthetic was really kind of like determined by that space. Like young Joker's bedroom structurally is the exact same bedroom that young Andy Kaufman has in Man on the Moon. I just replaced all of the wallpaper. I replaced the art. We added solar flares on it and stuff, and dust and light, and a different bed spread, but like
Yeah,
followed all of that. So like it like was always this thing where it's like it could have this like and I did that using like stock, like from like 123 RF and Pond 5 and stuff to kind of like
yeah,
rebuild these sets. And like it was always like with the goal of kind of creating this like hyper real sort of aesthetic that like you're looking at and you're like, this feels like a real space, but it feels so like manufactured. And like I think like having these like kind of like iconic sets that we could pull from, whether it was like Man on the Moon or like a Joel Schumacher Batman movie, and then like recreating it like that and like Blender or Photoshop or whatever we do, like it it allowed us to kind of have like a real production design element to it where it's like, okay, we need to like add a
that's so
poster there because there's
cool.
a poster there. Yeah.
Wait, that's rad as shit. That's so cool. Cinema,
Yeah.
huh?
Cinema is cool.
Cinema is cool. I also like love the face makeup in the movie and how like the way
Thank
you
you.
shape Joker the Harlequin's like look. And we all know what the Joker looks like. We know what Harley Quinn looks like. But for you, how did you go about figuring out what you wanted your Joker the Harlequin to look like? And were you the one doing all the makeup for yourself in this?
I no, I actually uh that was a decision I kept going back and forth on because I was like, I wanted there was like a certain amount of realism that I had where I was like, I should do the makeup just because like
Okay, yeah.
Joker the Harlequin is so untalented in the like in the movie that it's like he win. But like then there was this other angle to it where it's like I almost thought of it as like this no, this is like her self-actualizing. So like I need to like really stylize this and like find like something that really makes it feel like good and stylized and like actualized in that way. And it really kind of came from this idea first of like this being a reality where there are only two genders and there's jokers and there's harlequins, and like what is that spectrum, like what is this like because it's so there's obviously, we'll see if the comment section agrees, but there's obviously uh, more than there's more than two genders, but we do live in a society that really does put that restriction on us. And I wanted to find a like a spectrum that we could kind of like slide up and down, like and sort of see her makeup, start in this kind of like Joker gender place and then end up in like a Harley Quinn gender place. And my character designer for our version of the Joker, because we had character designers for all the characters in the movie. Like they were all, there were a few that like are, Jared Leto's Joker's in it, but it's a trans guy. Bob Boone is in it, but it's Bob Odenkirk. So, like we found some that are just, clearly like references and parodies of like these iconic characters. But for the most part, everybody else was like really designed. And Gracie May did Joker's design, and like I know she was looking at like a lot of anime characters and stuff, and like particularly like magicians and pirates. And I was also thinking a lot about wrestling and
Oh,
like
cool.
the kind of like distressed makeup look that you see on like Sting or like like 90s late 90s early 2000s wrestlers because we just never seen that either like in a Joker character before like we have the like sort of like gangster Joker look and like Jared Leto and like there is a distressed Joker makeup look on Heath Ledger, but it's like he sweated it all off. We really wanted to like have it be like it's distressed, but it's stylized in the way like a pro wrestler, like a drag queen would do to like create an effect. Like it should feel like she's smiling, but she's like crying and her whole face is melting. And my makeup artist was my friend Lauren Keyson, who she does makeup beautifully, but she's not a professional makeup artist. I just always loved how she did clown makeup, and she's just like one of my friends. I've known her for like 25 years. Like she was like I think she's like literally the first girl I ever kissed. Like so like having somebody there who like aesthetically may not be a professional, but like had like I felt emotionally supported and good because our shoot was just so intense too that it was like it needed to be friends and family kind of there. So yeah, thanks for letting me talk about makeup because I never get to talk about it. That and yeah, because I'm really proud of it because I think we found some really cool looks.
I was gonna say because I think like because I hadn't been asked about the makeup and like you do strike a different kind of look. Again, we know what the Joker looks like, but we you get that really cool difference in what y'all created, and I love that. And I love the penguin design. I know it's not crazy, but something about having the penguin just have just like a little bit of a nose prosthetic and just be like a dude is my favorite
Yeah,
thing. And just, like, having him
thank
be
you.
just, like, your BFF, and I think you're friends with the actor who played Penguin, right? Like, you're close friends with him, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean the like Nate Foston, who plays the Penguin, is the only person that could have played that version of the Penguin because like it's just the character's just based off him. Like it's not there's no part of it it's like really kind of pulling from any version of the Penguin we've seen before. But like Nate and I have just been making comedy together for a very long time. We're both from the Midwest. We both have very similar uh upbringings and but he's just like kind of just like a schlubby cis guy with a beard and like like he was one of those people though that like when I was coming out like just really showed up for me. Like I don't know that he necessarily got it, but he like was just this beautiful guy who was just like, yeah, cool, all right. Like your name's Vera now. All right. Like it kind of makes sense. He used to wear fishnets all the time in comedy sketches with me, so I could see it. And like he I really wanted to write a role for him that was sweet too and like schlubby but sweet and like kind of like taking the Judd Apatow like archetype but really like what that kind of archetype could serve as like a supporting like
Yeah.
character in a queer coming of age film. And I think that's why we based his look. We actually didn't base his look on we the character design I can't remember who did it. I think their name was Harvey something. But like it was kind of in this like Apatow space. But once we started like evolving it and figuring out what the wardrobe was, I was actually looking a lot at Kevin Smith. Like that's definitely why like Penguin wears jorts and graphic tees and stuff is like because to me like that is kind of just the quintessential well-intentioned sex obsessed cis guy archetype is Kevin Smith, and I grew up watching those movies and wanted to inject a little bit of that in there at least on a
Hell yeah.
subconscious level.
Hell yeah. And last thing, weirdly related to Kevin Smith, because Alice Mal McKay loves Kevin Smith. Y'all are working together
Yes,
on her latest film, right? You edited Carnage for Christmas, right?
yes, yeah,
That
that's
is
the
so
title.
fucking cool. I she has so many movies. I just want to make sure I get the right one right because she's so damn prolific.
Uh-huh.
But I love that now you're getting to work now with other queer filmmakers and getting to work with like Alice and editing those works. Like, what else are you working on coming up that you can talk about? Like, that's coming up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so I if I can give Alice a little bit of love first, like
We are an
I
Alice Mal McKay stan account at Dread Central, so
like
absolutely.
that's as every like account that like if anybody who like is remotely interested in film like needs to pay attention to her because she's just like I mean there's the first the fact that like she made her first feature film when she was 16 and
Like, what
like
the
that was
fuck?
my introduction to her. Yeah, I know. It's like it's completely healed my ageism is becoming friends with her because I'm like she's just great and like you know is prolific, has already made like 6 movies or something. And like I think when I saw Sovam and then I saw T Blockers and I was like it was just like this is like my like we definitely are different types of filmmakers but just creatively I felt like we were siblings or something. Just I could see like we had a lot of the same influences and a lot of the same like senses of like the same sense of humor and like I don't know, like it's a lot of I think trans filmmakers feel this like the weight of being like a trans filmmaker and like you have to make
Yeah,
these like serious movies about our trauma and stuff and like Alice totally does that but she does it in such a fun crazy genre way and like I immediately was like, I need to be friends with this person, and I need to like hopefully work with her at some point. So yeah, I was so stoked that I got to edit Carnage for Christmas,
I'm
and
so excited
like
to see it. I'm so fucking stoked for it.
it's so cool. I can't wait for people to see it. Like she really let me do whatever I wanted, like in an editing and VFX space, which nobody should ever let me do because I was I was really going through some shit and going through a breakup when I was working on it. And you could just
Oh,
tell it was made by somebody who was not happy. But like also was like, fuck, I love watching Santa slash people up. And yeah, I don't know. It's a fucking sick movie. I can't wait for people to see it. As far as what else I'm working on, I'm developing 2 things right now. One of them's almost done. It's a trans body horror thing that's also kind of a buddy comedy and also is like about goddess worship cults and stuff. And
fuck
then
yeah.
the other
Okay.
thing is yeah, it's gonna be sick. Hopefully, uh that might be my next one. I also just got a script that I can't really talk too much about yet, but
Yeah.
I'm really excited about. It's another like kind of cool genre mashup, and it's my first time being brought into something where it's like I get a script and it's like, oh, like I'm definitely being brought in to like gay this up a little bit. Uh, but it's like it works. It's like a script that I'm like, yeah, no, this is a very gay story. I'm shocked these characters aren't gay. Like this is very obviously a movie about toxic lesbians. So let me just like externalize
Let me
some of
just
that a little bit
massage
more.
it a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, hope we'll see what happens. And hopefully I can like talk more about one of those soon. I'm probably not supposed to talk about them, but feel free to use all this. I don't
Cool.
care. I clearly have an open door policy about my life and career.
Well, I know I have to wrap up right now, but it was so cool getting to chat with you for a little bit.